I know it's very hear us now?
Yes. Barely. You sound very distant.
Fred Yorg is here too.
Pardon me?
Fred Yorg is here too.
Are you okay? You're in chambers, Fred?
Yep, I'm here. Mike and I are here.
I'm here.
Okay. Pat, good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Mike, maybe if you sit at the desk instead of the, I don't know where you're trying to speak from.
Yep, you're the.
No, Mike, try that. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about this
All
one?
right, pretty good?
This one work?
All right. I will the Plan Commission meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Yes?
Yes. We have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes. All those, or any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. We've got a public hearing on a conditional use permit application for Hudson School District at 1501 Vine Street. This is a public hearing, so this is your opportunity to express your opinion on the hearing. We do have, looks like quite a few people in here. I presume most of them are, here for this issue and would like to comment. So I cannot see if you raise your hand. I don't have everybody's video here in front of me. I have to be switching screens in order to see it. So if you haven't been through this before, number one, please unmute yourself. And then number two, just pop on in when there's a lapse in discussion if you have something that you would like to say. So having said that, is there anyone that would like to comment on this?
This is David Creer. I'd like to comment.
All right, David. Again, so you've identified yourself. If you would please give your address.
We're at 626 Hickory Road.
Okay.
So as I'm standing in my living room now, because we just got back from Arizona at 3 o'clock. So anyhow, I'm standing in my living room. The sidewalk goes directly into the school. This sign is right across from our house, right in the direct across from the living room window. You know, and we've seen the hole for probably a year, and it's been excavated for a year. So I just like it known, you know, it would be better if we could see it moved, but at least you know that Darlene and I are not happy about the school district, of course, putting that sign right in front of our window. But that's what I got to say right now. I'll listen to other comments.
All right, David. Thank you. Any other comments?
Well, my name is Wayne Hanson. I live at 622 Hickory Road, and I don't know if you can see me or not.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. I'm not sure if you folks are aware of the petition or the statement of concern that was sent in a while back. I'm prepared to at least summarize or at least read that if that would be beneficial to the participants. Thank you. But as part of it is what Dave Creer just mentioned, but again, I'm directly across as well from, I'm right alongside of Dave Creer and Darlene. But the partition was signed by all the residents within High Point, and we're talking about the potential loss of property value, additional light intrusion, the vehicle and pedestrian safety concerns, along with the proximity to our common property boundaries. Individually and as a group, we've been supportive of the school programming and activities, and we have been all along since day one. But we also want to do the right thing for the city of Hudson. However, we do not believe the proposed electronic monument or signage will be a net benefit to the city or its residents. While other school districts have erected electronic monuments signage. These are all, to the best of our knowledge, located some distance away from the high-density residential neighborhoods. High Point development is directly across the street from the high school on Vine Street. As you all know, it is purely a residential neighborhood made up of 19 residents. The nearest commercial area is approximately a mile away. The proposed signage is consistent with retail advertising and would be inappropriate to locate next to the existing residential homes. There are numerous studies that substantiate the loss of residential property value with the existence of signage, electronic signage. The current high school lighting has been an issue since day one. We've been interacting with the high school to tone that down and to make some adjustments, and they've been pretty cooperative. Building and parking lot security lights are intrusive and are a particular problem for the homes directly across from the street. Illumination from electronic message boards would compound the existing light pollution. Additionally, we assume that there would be exterior lightings focused on the structure of the monument, which would make things worse. While the sign might be placed perpendicular to Vine Street, several homes are angled to the street and would be a direct line of sight to the west side of the signage. And that's what you heard from Dave Creer and Darlene just a minute ago. We're also concerned about and mentioned vehicle and pedestrian safety. It was an issue today for me leaving. I had to exit to the east or heading to the east versus I wanted to go to the west because of all the traffic. It's dangerous, let alone people trying to cross the street. Our common drive egress is directly onto Vine, on a curve and at the top of Vine Street Hill. Electronics would be an extreme distraction to the drivers coming from the west heading east. A sign near the intersection of Wisconsin and Vine would be especially problematic. As we understand, both the current and proposed ordinances limit electronic signage to less than 100 feet from the residential homes. The placement of this sign along Vine Street, anywhere from the corner of Wisconsin west to the intersection, would be approximately 100 feet from our locations, from the homes that are on and border Vine Street. Now we petition the city, please consider our concerns when reviewing the request for a variance to construct the sign. We ask that you consider the intent of the original ordinance and the concerns that the previous city council have had regarding the impact, location, and features of electronic signage. So that's what the petition stated. We're in position, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
This is David Creer. I'd like to make another comment. And that is, yes, the lights on the building, on the school themselves, are like white light. And they're bright. They shine right into our windows. The parking lot isn't as bad as the lights. But the big thing is that when you're turning into High Point, there's also a left-hand turn for turning into the high school. And we have a lot of guests that come here, and they get in that left-hand lane. They get in the left side to make a left turn, but they're in the wrong way. And I've talked to the engineer about that a couple of years ago. Doesn't seem like we can change that because kids going into the school need a left turn lane. But people coming to High Point think it's a left turn lane, and it's not. So that's another distraction down there.
All right, thanks, David. Any other comments?
You're welcome.
Jim?
Yeah, I've got just a few comments. I know you guys have other business to attend to this evening. So I think this is my fifth official meeting that I've attended on this issue. Union City Council meetings, and I think I attended a planning commission meeting, and I attended the school district meeting. And I have a question, a rhetorical question for the commission members. Did you get a chance to watch the school district meeting? And I hope you did, because there were many, many, many people all opposed to this electronic sign in a residential neighborhood. There were none except for Nick, who was opposing it, that were in favor of it. Many residents in the city of Hudson about this, and I haven't heard one person who is anti-sign. They are all, without exception, opposed to the electronic message boarding sign. Everybody knows the residents in High Point. I'm on the board there, and I can tell you that nobody is anti-school. We've got kids in this school, have had, and we're very supportive. We're also not necessarily anti-sign. And our concept of a monument sign would be one that was designed to blend in with the environment a little bit and be consistent with the architecture of the school. What they're proposing is a commercial sign. I don't care how you cut it. This is a commercial sign. From High Point, the closest commercial neighborhood is over a mile away. Why would we want to expand this commercialization into our residential neighborhood? I just don't understand it. We've lost, just in the last month, one of the residents who would have been directly affected by this sign sold her home. Her yard would have been less than 80 feet where this proposed sign is going to be. My question in that regard is, what about property values? I did an awful lot of research into studies that have been done, mostly on the East Coast in Philadelphia, market value effect of putting out electronic signs in residential neighborhoods. There's a ton of research that substantiates the fact that property values drop. That is evidenced by selling her home. I don't want to name her, but she's gone. And please consider that when you're looking at this conditional use permit. I looked at the ordinance. It was amended. And there were about a half dozen or more triggers that the commission should look at, as I understand it, when deciding. Most of them are inconsistent with a benefit to either the community or the residents of High Point. So I'll be quiet now and you guys can go on with your business. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Sheila. Unmute.
Okay. The other concern, I guess, that I have, of course, is this: does this now set a precedent? So St. Pat's maybe would benefit or like to have some kind of an electronic sign. I know the YMCA has requested one in the past and been turned down. But now if you have one at the high school, then, well, there's the precedent for St. Pat's to want one, the Y to want one. And if you go west down Vine Street, there's the, it used to be the floral shop right on Vine Street, which is already commercial in a residential neighborhood. So then they should be granted one as well, the owners of that, because their property is already zoned commercial. So is it that domino effect as well? So we can have lots of electronic signs on Vine Street. So that's what I have to say.
Thanks, Sheila. Any other comments?
This is Joyce Wank. I live at 602 Hickory Road. We've lived in High Point nearly 20 years. And I heard a comment at one of the recent meetings that upset me a bit. It was a lady who must have been a realtor who was arguing that, oh yes, the school and everything they're doing increases the value. People want to live there because it's so close to the high school. Well, I've lived here 20 years. There have been a handful of school-age children that live here. Half of those were in elementary school. Any realtor who tries to sell that idea is not telling the truth. Adding football field lights and all that commotion already makes our area less desirable and more dangerous. Now adding insult to injury, someone's recommending to add this electronic sign. It'll only add to the lighting, the commotion, and definitely distraction for drivers. I'm asking that you consider the adverse effects on our property values, comfort, safety of those who live and drive by here by denying this conditional use permit. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Go ahead.
I got a question.
Identify yourself, please.
John Gishu, 607 12 Oaks Lane.
Yep.
I got a little question. Has a traffic engineer looked at this request? Because coming up Vine Street, heading west, heading east rather, it's rather precarious for the people that come out of 12 Oaks Lane. It already is already a sign on the street that says hidden lane. So it already tells people, be careful, there's something going to happen soon on the right side. So as they're looking to the right, I believe they may be distracted looking to the left at this sign that's going to take their attention right away, which takes them away from the safety of the citizens coming out of 12 Oaks Lane. So I consider this sign to be very, very dangerous for the people living on 12 Oaks Lane. And I'm wondering if a traffic engineer has done an analysis of the sign going in and its impact on the traffic flow.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Has the traffic engineer looked at it?
Mike, do you know?
Traffic engineer on our side? No. Nope.
Might be a good idea before you go any further.
Okay. Any other comments? Somebody trying to speak? Any other comments? Looking through the screens here. All right. Any other comments?
Motion to close. Oop.
Any other comments?
I'll move to close.
I'll second.
Got a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. The public hearing is closed. Discussion and possible action on a conditional use permit application for Hudson School District at 1501 Vine Street.
Good evening, Plan Commission. The Hudson School District has submitted a conditional use permit application to install a freestanding electronic message display sign in a public district that exceeds 30 square feet for EMDs and 40 square feet for freestanding signs. The proposal includes an electronic message display sign area of 46.75 square feet and an additional 10 square feet for the Raider logo off to the side that also be placed on the sign base. So in total, the freestanding sign area will be 56.75 square feet. And overall, the sign height is proposed to be 7.5 feet tall and will be set back into the school property by approximately 40 feet from the edge of the road along Vine Street. Tonight, I believe the representatives of the school district are here to assist with answering any questions the Plan Commission might have about the sign. Otherwise, you're all being presented with the consideration options of approval, denial, or postponement. So with that, I'll open the floor to discussion amongst Plan Commissioners. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away.
If I may, the school district representatives are here to present the sign proposal. So we're going to switch over. We should get it up on everybody's screen here shortly.
Is everybody able to able to see this and able to hear me all right?
Have to start. It's the only way we'll know.
Yes, we can hear and see the screen.
All right, perfect. We have the documents, I think, that have been forwarded on to the Planning Commission. The newest document that just came today was the photometric of the sign, and so I'll touch on that, but I just want to touch real quickly. We did follow the rules for the conditional use permit. We did end up sending a mailing notice, to all the neighbors in the area. I think there were over 50 that we ended up sending out. You have a copy of the letter that we sent out that was to a Zoom meeting where anybody could join that meeting and ask questions. As you go through, you have a copy of all the neighbors that were within 300 feet of the property that we mailed the list to. That was given to us by the city of Hudson, and so we did get that mailed out. And then we have the meeting minutes that have been certified. The meeting, started at approximately 5:30 on February 11th. You can see who was in attendance with the meeting. I believe there were 19 people in attendance at the meeting as we worked through it, which also included council members, board members, and myself, and as well as my administrative assistant. Several questions, as you can read through. I don't need to read them to you. You're more than able to do that, but you can kind of go through the meeting minutes. But what I have, the first exhibit to look at is where is the sign placement. On the original high school plan that we submitted to the city, this was the landscape plan that had shown that there was a sign to be put there in this location. Based on the feedback from the engineers and architects at the time the high school site was designed, they felt this was the best location. And so it's between the retention pond and the main walkway that goes into the building. The sign would have landscaping around it that would match the high school landscaping and also be made of materials comparable of the building. The next item on this list, and again, now open for questions, the sign is of the same detail and materials and quality of the building. It's limestone veneer panels with also metal panels that match the building. There is no exterior lighting on it. Everything is backlit with the sign, and the architects are the ones that designed the sign so that it fit with the aesthetics of the building, so that it would be kind of part of that building process. The sign is set up to run at about 3% above ambient light. It automatically dims as it gets darker outside. Our expectation, what we would think is we would operate the sign within the city ordinance, which I believe has restrictions on hours, has restrictions on how often you can change the messages and things like that, and following those items. The newest document that you may not have in your packet I did send today was finally the photometric for the sign, which shows what is the impact, the light impact around our sign, and what impact that could potentially have. And this is not taking into account any street lights or any parking lot lights. And so essentially by the time any light would hit any of our neighbors, it would be equivalent of less than 1% of the light coming off the sign. And so we felt like it was a pretty good location of trying to make sure that we have an opportunity to put it in the right spot, get it far enough away from the intersection, but up the hill far enough, as some of the people have talked about. The rationale or the public need for the sign, it really is about communicating, not only for the district, but communicating community messages, even city messages and things along those lines. Yes, there are other modes to communicate, whether it be the internet or email or things like that, but having a message center and being able to put what events are going on, not only in the district, but in the community, we feel like serves quite the public purpose and would be in the best interest of the city. So what questions can I answer for you?
Nick, Randy Morissette.
Yes, sir.
Is it possible to move it, and would that satisfy the residents? I don't know if it would.
And really with this photometric, they did the photometric on the wrong side of the sidewalk. It's actually about 8 feet the other direction, but, towards the pond. But the reason we put it where it was is if we slide it to the other side of our driveway, We have that fence that runs along line the sidewalk, and so it would basically be unreadable at that point because you'd be trying to read through some concrete pillars and some fencing, and if we elevated it up to get it above that fence, then I think it'd be more intrusive to the neighbors and things like that. So this would keep it down a little bit lower. The parking lot that you see in this picture is elevated above the where the sign would go a little bit, so it does kind of fit in there. But sliding it, if we slide it to the east, then we have a different set of neighbors that are upset. We slide it to the west, or I'm sorry, slide it to the west, we have a different set of neighbors upset. We slide it to the east, it's almost impossible to utilize it because of the stadium being right there. So
you couldn't put it kitty corner in front of that pond facing St. Pat's?
You mean slide it east like 100 feet? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, towards the east entrance.
Yeah.
And put it on the diagonal.
Yeah, I mean, the reason we put it on the perpendicular is, as you can see from the photometric, it has the least impact on the neighbors because it's, perpendicular to the houses across the street. If we go on the diagonal, that changes the impact to the neighbors.
Well, you could still put it perpendicular on the corner.
Yep.
I'd like to add a comment to that too, just looking at the map and all that. I mean, if you were coming into the school from the west and turning right to enter the school property, you would be too far away from that sign to even see it. Mm-hmm. And so it would only, and I mean, a lot of people enter that school area and of course they depart going by the sign, but would maybe not even see that. I would see a benefit to moving that closer to the east as being suggested, and then you can get a little more setback on top of that. Okay. Which is being asked for repetitively, and I don't know if it would impair your sight lines and or the ability to deliver what you're trying to deliver. That would be my question to you. Why wouldn't that work? I mean, I think it would. And
it's not out of the question. I mean, we can definitely slide it east, between our main driveway and that pond there. It's just, if you kind of, I don't have an elevation view, but what's hard to see from this view is that corner already has it has several fence pillars and some power stuff and things like that. So really, the further east we slide it, any traffic coming from the east is going to have less of ability to read what's on the sign, and that's one of the challenges associated. But if that's kind of a condition in order to make it work, I mean, we want to try to the best of our ability to be as mitigating as we can, knowing that we're probably never going to be able to, meet everybody's need on it. So,
if they're stopped there at the stop sign, they can look right over at it and read it.
I was just going to say that. They're stopped there already. They got something to look at.
Yeah, I mean, if people feel more comfortable with us sliding it about 100 feet to the east, which is basically just into that big, I don't know if you see my arrow, into this area right here in front of the pond, we absolutely could slide down there. It'll be some utility work, but that's not an issue for us. We can do that and bring it down. If that's a better solution, according to the commission, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Well, pending what the neighbors would suggest on that issue, moving it down there, I'm not going to support where it is right now.
I can't either.
I guess I'm listening to these neighbors. They've been pretty vocal with their legitimate arguments, and being good neighbors is part of listening and deciding what should go and how it should go properly. And it's been a convincing argument with these folks up there, and they need to be heard.
I didn't catch that first part, Randy. I'm sorry.
I would not support it where it is located right now.
Okay.
That's the first part. The other stuff was just saying how the neighbors are to me, are on the right side of this.
And if I may comment, I would also agree with that. And then number two, by moving the sign, you could get more of a perpendicular angle of the sign to the across the street landowners that would shield them even better. In other words, you'd have a dead T90 where there should be absolutely nothing that spills over to them to, affect them as they're saying they are.
So what you're saying is kind of where you see my arrow there is get the sign in that area there. Is that what I'm hearing everybody say?
Correct.
And hugging it to as close to the pond as you can. More so than the intersection.
Yeah, absolutely. You just got to remember, this isn't all flat. I mean, some of this, the dark area there, what that is that's that big rock that's around the pond. So it's kind of like a hill down there. So, I mean, the flat area is up here. It's about in the same location, but, the pond starts to dip down the hill there. So I just want to make sure, and I know that's not easy to see. Let me see if I can kind of blow it up a little bit and slide it over.
We know what you mean, the riprap.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, we know.
So you can see it in this. So you can see basically, once we get past here, you're on the downhill into the pond. But up here, yeah, we could definitely put it in this area over here. Absolutely.
Well, I think that's to your benefit because you're asking for the variances and all of that stuff, and there would be no way in the original location. I think we could even begin to think of allowing any variances, noting the concern that you have here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Pretty hard.
Yeah, and I get it, and it's the challenge of having a large high school in the middle of the city, and this is what people said they wanted, a big high school in the middle of the city versus out in the middle of nowhere, where I get it, I totally understand that, and it is the challenges that we're also on a compacted site, and but that's some of the challenges that we have as it relates to having a high school in the middle of the city, which is what people said they wanted when we ran the referendum. So
I would suggest we postpone this, and so you guys can go back and redo it.
Well, can we just make the commitment that it'll be prior to going to the city council that it'll get moved to the direction where you guys have said you wanted it?
Well, I think it's got to go through the process, Mike.
Yeah, I think we need to approve it.
Well, you would just put that condition on it if the commission wanted to do so. So that would be one of the conditions of approval, or you could postpone. I mean, you have the option, right? So you could say one of the, motion to approve with the change in location and the other conditions listed. Does that make sense, Randy?
Well, it does, but I want to make it very transparent to the neighborhood that we're not just going to rubber stamp something and it doesn't happen the right way, or we don't look through the cross the I's and dot the T's.
Sure. You could also have it be a public hearing at council as well. There's nothing to stop you from doing that.
Yes, I said that the wrong way purposely.
I know you did. I got it.
So that would be my motion, is to postpone it, but to go back to the drawing board and give us plans to come back to look at it properly. I'm not trying to delay it, but I think we need to do this right for the neighborhood's sake.
And I'll second that.
Time specific, Randy, or what?
Yeah,
Well,
as quick as
month,
possible.
What, next meeting? Too soon?
Could we have a special meeting if time is of the essence? I mean, could we have a special meeting? I mean, a quickie to address this. I'm open to that.
Why is there why can't we go with the meeting? Why does it have to be so quickly?
That's a Nick question.
Well, I mean, this has been a 3-year process. This isn't exactly like we've tried to, do this really quick. So I guess what I'm trying to, we're definitely, if the council or the commission says, move it to that location there, we'll move it. We'll just get another drawing that shows it in a different location, but everything else kind of stays the same. So it allows us, because the next step is then to go to the council, and then after we go to the council, then finally, if we get permitting and then get things ordered. So it just kind of delays things further. But, I also understand where people are coming from. It's just, we have no problem. I have no problem saying it will be in the location you guys say it is. And so that when it goes in front of the city council, if it's not, then it would be an easy denial, and have those documents ready and changed prior to the council meeting.
I guess I stand with Randy in the sense that we want to see the plans to make sure that they are what we think they are and they conform to the thinking and the comments that have been made. It's not that we don't trust you or anything like that. It's just you almost have to see the rendering, the drawing, the physical placement, that you'd put on paper to show us where it would be, and then it's pretty easy to say yes. When it's not that way and it's left up and open, that a pencil stroke could change it, there's some fear there that it could be, who knows what could happen. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's my comment.
Yeah, and I would hold it to the next plan commission meeting.
All right. So is that your motion, Randy?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Fred, did you second that?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're good with what Randy's saying right now?
That is correct.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to delay until the next meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing on a conditional use permit application for Quick Trip at 520 Annabelle Way, Quick Trip Inc. Anybody?
Just one, maybe. Can't see me back behind the screen.
We've got somebody here at the podium, Mayor.
Okay.
Can't see me behind the screen there. My name's Dave Cahoy, and I live in Hudson. But I believe you have some notes that I sent to Tiffany. Is that correct?
Yep, those were
Those, I will not read those, but I had a couple additional comments.
We read your letter.
Okay, we, the Planning Commission, have to represent the 200 families that are going to go in that area because they don't live there yet. And I liked the previous conversation about the lights. And everybody is so upset about the sign and so forth. But now you've got 200 residents that are going to have to live with the gas station right next to their residence. And that's probably within 100 feet when those apartment buildings go up. There's another comment. I think we need to do what is right for the neighborhood. So for our station, I believe the gas station is inevitable. I think it's too far along, and I've seen it come too far. So it's an inevitability, but we have to make it right and make it fit in the neighborhood. And if there are two just around here, and this is a photograph of one, and that's not going to do anybody any good, but that's a photograph of the one over on Radio Drive. On Radio Drive.
What? Dave, don't talk when you're away from the mic, please.
Oh, okay. That's a photograph of the one over on Radio Drive that fits into the neighborhood. I drove past that particular location on and off for about 2 years before I even knew it was a gas station. But I can assure you, all the residents knew it was a gas station.
Have you seen Liberty on the Lake in Stillwater?
No.
You should.
Okay, same thing?
You should.
Yeah.
It fits, I would say, Fred, it fits the neighborhood.
It fits the neighborhood. Yeah.
And the other, here's the other one, it's over in Lake Elmo.
Be quick.
Yep. That's the other one, the other one's over in Lake Elmo. But we the city should make this fit into the neighborhood, and so forth. The other thing with the lights, we don't need, the station does not need to be seen from the freeway. It's in a residential area. So I would urge you, and remember, if you may recall, some may recall, the Erickson store downtown.
Yeah.
That, initially, they wanted to put a rubber stamp store in, and we, the city, said, no, 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 it has to be built to the neighborhood. So they put a lot of money into building up a store that would fit into downtown. So yes, I think the store, a gas station is inevitable, but the Planning Commission should insist that the plan be revised. Quick Trip is a large company and has met with all this kind of objections before, and I'm sure they've got similar designs where they could build a store that fits in that neighborhood. As an example, when I went over to that one on Radio Drive today, they had a price of gas, and then they had a big electronic sign. That big electronic sign does not need to fit in our neighborhood, Bella Rose. You don't need an electronic sign. So you have to look at the things they're proposing and say, no, 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 we don't need that there. It needs to fit in the neighborhood. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. All right, so, I apologize. I kind of threw everybody the ball on that one without announcing, usually what we do. This is a public hearing, so I'm sure there are people that are also, in addition to Dave, that are here to comment on this topic. So once again, this is a public hearing. This is your opportunity to express your opinion to the Plan Commission on this issue. Just feel free to pop on in, unmute yourself. And once again, are there any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, we have another individual at the podium here as well.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Planning Commission, my name is Scott Teigen. I'm Vice President of the Quick Trip Corporation, headquartered in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And I will tell you, fitting into the neighborhood is as important to us as it is to the neighbors. Those are always going to be our best customer. It's always our goal to make our closest neighbor our best customer. In your packet, you see a rendering of what the store would look like. I have a board drawing of it here, and we have a landscape plan in your packet that we do not skimp on a landscaping or any of the improvements on our sites. Our lighting will all be down lighting, and it stays on our lot. All of our photometric plans will meet your city code. And I appreciate Dave's comments about fitting in the community, but I'll guarantee you we will fit in the community better than any of the facilities that he's talked about. Lake Elmo does a good job. We'll do an excellent job here as well. You can see our monument sign there. That's really the focus of this particular picture. And I'm here to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody? Once again, just hop on in and please unmute yourself. Any other comments? Any other comments? Any other comments?
I move we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Public hearing is closed. Discussion and possible action on a conditional use permit and final development plans for Quick Trip at 520 Annabelle Way. Quick Trip Inc.
So Quick Trip has submitted final development plans and a conditional use permit application for a 24-hour convenience store at 520 Annabelle Way within the Bella Rose development site. They are proposing a 10 dispenser fueling canopy, a single bay car wash, and about 8,303 square feet of convenience store space, which will sell fresh produce, bakery and dairy goods, hot and cold beverages, fresh meat and groceries, tobacco products, lotto, merchandise, ice, and propane, typical stuff. So the building itself will be about 23.6 feet tall. The property's zoning designation is B2 general business, and the comp plan land use designation is neighborhood commercial. Staff has listed some conditions for approval of the CUP and final development plans. However, we would also like to add a couple more. One being we would like to see a bit more brick on the monument sign to dress it up a little more. And we would also like to have our engineering consultant perform some additional lighting review of the site overall. And also, as you all know, Scott Teagan here is here tonight representing Quick Trip and to help answer any technical questions about the project itself. So that being said, feel free to ask away and discuss.
All right, anybody?
I guess the big thing is will the concerns of Mr. Cahoy be answered with by Quick Trip working forward through the development of the actual property?
Well,
Looks like every other Quick Trip site to me.
Is that good or bad for you?
Yeah, well, it's not what Dave is saying. All I'm saying is looking at the site plans that are in our packet, that looks like any of the other Quick Trip stations that you would see. And David is suggesting something that's significantly different than a standard store.
So I guess is Quick Trip willing to adjust the plan? If that gentleman would like to speak on that.
Is he there?
Yeah.
I'm here, just here. Thank you. Again, Scott Teigen with Quick Trip. This lot that we're buying in this development is very, let's just say we're using every bit of it that we can. There's just not really a lot more that we can do other than landscaping to dress it up and make it fit in. I think our design of our stores fit in with the biggest share of the communities that we're in. So with some additional landscaping, I think we can address some of Dave's concerns.
And I have a tendency to agree with the Quick Trip representative because you go around and they're a great partner in every community they go to. I think they're willing to work with it. So I would certainly make a motion, or I would move to approve this application with conditions as stated by staff.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Somebody else. I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
There's a lot of benefits to have that out there. For one, little history, this plan commission approved the commercial side of building out there, so none of the residents should be surprised by what was planned out there, and a convenience store was on the radar early on. Second, there is no other grocery store in town besides County Market, besides Whole Family Fresh. This will also alleviate some of that issue, traffic, etc., on the side of Carmichael and Crestview. So I think this is a good fit.
Anybody else?
Even though it wasn't stated in your motion, but the gentleman from Quick Trip said he would look at additional landscaping possibilities. I would hope that would be included.
Absolutely. I meant to do that. I thought that, yeah. Thanks, Frank.
All right, so that's included. Fred, you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on concept development plans for TGK Automotive Services at 640 Annabelle Way, Coma, Inc.
So the applicant has submitted concept development plans for an auto repair garage at 640 Annabelle Way within the Bella Rose development as well. The proposed concept plans show 11 garage bays, a front-end sales room, restrooms, employee break room, manager's office, utility room, the trash oil compressor room. Also included in the plans are proposed landscaping, utilities, site plan, and a grading and erosion control plan. Staff has noted some concerns to the applicant regarding the site layout and architecture as it relates to the conditional use permit for Bella Rose development. So it would be expected that the applicant successfully address all these concerns prior to a recommendation of approval on a conditional use permit or final development plans. I do believe we have a few representatives from TGK Auto here tonight on Zoom. So if they would like to answer any questions for the plan commissioners tonight, I'll open the floor to discussion on that now.
They there?
I see some of them.
Are they on the screen or are they zoomed in or?
Hi, this is Steve from Coma, representing TJK as an architect. Let me take these headphones off, make it a little easier. Yeah, thanks for bringing the application to the table tonight. I guess, we're happy to present our plans for this development, and I think we're interested to hear if there's any questions right off the bat that we can answer before we get too far along.
I'd have some concerns about noise pollution up there and some of the same arguments about noise, the tires getting taken off, whatever you want.
Sure.
To me, that would not fit this neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think, that was definitely a comment in the neighborhood meeting we had a few weeks ago. The answer to that, and I'm not an operator at the shop, so I'll let TGK jump in if they'd like, but just to quickly answer that, I know the plan is to heat and air condition the space, which allows those garage doors to be closed, which definitely reduces sound and any kind of noise pollution concerns. The other thing maybe to touch on is maybe the specific use of air guns nowadays, or at least with TGK, is different than maybe what you're used to with typical repair shops. And I know we've got some representatives from TGK on the call that might be able to address that a little more technically than I can.
Well, here's my thought, though. We, a long time ago, had another company come in and try and go in by a couple hotels and over by the Chevy dealership. And it was not a good fit there either because of the sound, because of the old tires, the beat up vehicles sitting out. It was an eyesore. Well, you can draw as many nice pictures as you want, but I don't know if that's going to actually happen moving forward through the years as it finally fades away that you're there.
Sure. I don't know, again, if Troy or Tim, you want to speak to kind of your operation, because it's not, I think the perception that an auto repair shop is always acting that way is a little skewed. I think the history that TGK has had in their shops around the metro area is that they've always been a little bit higher class than what your typical old repair garage might have from a public perception. And so I think, there is something about the way that this company is operating and their commitment to being a good neighbor. And the idea is not to run a business that is an eyesore, especially with the location that they've selected here being very, very close to a residential development. And so I don't know, I'll let Troy maybe speak to that if you're on the phone here.
Yeah. Hi, this is Troy Kaplan with TGK Automotive. Started TGK Automotive 15 years ago in Hugo, Minnesota. And in 2019, we built our headquarters here in Hugo. I have 16 locations throughout the Twin Cities. When we had the neighborhood meeting, I invited the neighbors to come check out our Hugo location and any of our locations, as our auto repair shops are not your mom and pop shops that you see on the corner where there's tires and cars sitting around. We've had this discussion. My Hugo location is a bigger building than what we're proposing now. It's heated and air conditioned. The doors are shut. But we have neighbors butted up to our facility here at Hugo, and we accommodated to the neighbors to the fact that we have backlit parking. We made that employee parking, and at nighttime we shut those lights off so that it doesn't go into the neighbors' windows in the back of the shop, and then the rest of the parking lot's lit up, which doesn't affect anybody around, which is on Highway 61. Vehicles at our locations don't sit around, as if the vehicles sit in there, that means we don't get paid. We're not a junkyard. There's salvage yards out there that collect junk vehicles, and we're not in the business to collect them. We're in the business to get them inside, fix them, and get them back to our clients. We are a family-owned operation. My wife and I own it, and we have partners throughout the Twin Cities. We are not as big as Quick Trip, but we are very involved in every community that we go into, like Quick Trip. We are a sponsor of the Minnesota Wild. If you watch the high school hockey tournaments, you see that we sponsored the second period, and we sponsored all the high school hockey tournaments. We do a fundraiser golf tournament every year for the food shelf. Last year we raised $17,000 for the food shelves. We are very community driven. We are very neighborhood friendly. With the noise with the doors, we plan on heating and air conditioning the shop, and not just us as TGK, but to technicians these days, or the technology these days. We're more electronic, battery powered impacts, and not necessarily air, just because the technicians don't like listening to that noise all day long, as nor would the neighbors. We do use air. I'm not going to say we don't, but it's very, very less than it's ever been before, just because of the technology with the cordless impacts, and they're lighter for the guys and gals that we have working for us to use, and they're more efficient. But we are a community, family-owned business. We do care about our neighbors. We care about our community. We are heavily involved in there. Our shop will be a lot less noisier than the car wash at Quick Trip.
That's a pretty good statement there.
A couple concerns that staff has. It does appear that the north end of that site is overparked, and that leads us to the concern of, how many cars might be parked there, overnight or, longer term. It would seem like, you have your 4 bays and you're double stacked, right?
So we have we're proposing 5 garage doors on each side. So
5,
10.
sorry. So you got 10, right?
So at nighttime, if I could turn the camera here, you'd see inside the Hugo location, but I can fit 37 cars inside this building here. We don't, like I said, as far as the pickup goes, we want to get cars in and get them done. There is times where the cars carry over for a few days on bigger jobs. With everybody knowing that the thieves out there with catalytic converters, while they're on our premises, we like to keep everything as much as possible inside overnight. So we have 10 days.
So then would it make sense to eliminate some of those parking stalls on the north side?
Yeah, I think that that was one of the things that Steve maybe had talked about in the drawing.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it was one of the conditions that, or maybe a recommendation that was made based on just the sheer calculation method of how many we needed or what the minimum requirement was.
Yep.
For the property. Obviously, we're showing more because, quite honestly, there needs to be flexibility with the site too. And so, it's no different than a parking lot where you do have cars that are there for a certain amount of time that move in and out, and needing that flexibility. So I think the way that we've laid it out, we are considering some reductions on the Carmichael side, and mainly to add a little more green space, a little more connection to Carmichael with a sidewalk and some more landscaping.
Yep.
But as far as, cutting down the total parking to the bare bones minimum, I don't think that really works with the operation of this facility.
I'm not necessarily asking that. Just that proof of parking is there. This is a conditional use permit, right? So the ability for the council and the plan commission to go back and review things in the future is certainly there, and if an issue arises. But I do believe, and my recommendation would be to scale some of that parking back, show it as proof of parking. I think that's an important first step.
Okay. We'll definitely consider that. Yeah.
I guess I've got a question more for the rest of the commission as a whole, and that is in my mind, this type of a tenant in a development would fit more over by Fleet Farm, more over on the south side of 94 than it does in a residential commercial development. And I'm just wondering if that's the way we want to see the rest of the build out go in this project, because it isn't what we were told was going to be the type of tenants they were going after for this type of project.
I'd have to agree with Pat a little bit there. It's not what we envisioned out there, or kind of what we were told.
Yeah. It doesn't fit a residential type commercial development.
I concur with that feeling also. I mean, it's that neighbor, that Atwood property was supposed to be, the development in there was supposed to be complementary to each other. As you say, any industrial car service facilities are all located south of 94. There's space down there for them, for more of them if need be. I think their proposal is as good as any one we'd ever see. However, does it fit? And
that's my question.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? No other comments? Do we have a motion? No motion? All right. Well, hearing no motion, I guess we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. Discussion and possible action on a petition to release pedestrian easement at 803 12th Street, Christina Ogland and Daniel Reams.
Thank you. The owners of 803 12th Street, which is 2 parcels owned by Christina Ogland and Daniel Reeves, are requesting the release of a 12-foot wide pedestrian easement located on the south side of their properties. The easement was originally given to the city of Hudson in 1974 when the right-of-way for Fox Street was vacated, and is currently a wooded ravine area. This easement, which is approximately 50 years old, approved or used by pedestrians. Staff notes that any future pedestrian traffic in that region would likely use Fillmore Hill or Vine Street for connections and not this pedestrian easement. So staff recommends that the city release the pedestrian easement.
I'll move we release the easement.
I'll second
it.
A motion and a second to approve the release. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on concept development plans for Quick Trip store expansion at 2401 Crestview Drive, Quick Trip, Inc.
All right, so Quick Trip is looking to add approximately 935 square feet to the east side of the existing building on the site. The proposed addition would increase the size of the kitchen and would include a bathroom remodel. The external look of the building is also proposed to match the existing building's brick, so it should look, well, same as always. Also, due to the building's expansion eastward, the traffic flow along the east side would be limited to a one-way traffic flow only. And additionally, the middle access between the Quick Trip and McDonald's properties would be eliminated through the addition of curbing and green space. And so staff is recommending approval of the concept development plans with the listed conditions.
So move with conditions.
Second.
Motion and second to approve with conditions. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on concept development plans for Hudson Sports and Civic Center at 1820 Hanley Road, Hudson Hockey Association.
So the Hudson Hockey Association has submitted concept development plans for site improvements at their property of 1820 Hanley Road. The site improvements would include a building addition to connect the two existing hockey arena buildings and a building addition for new locker rooms. Additionally, there would be shower spaces, coach offices, lobby and concession space, team meeting rooms, restrooms, and a multi-purpose space on the second floor, which will include some hockey viewing windows. The arena connection addition was first presented in 2005 when the Drewiski rink was constructed. Other proposed site improvements include the restriping of the parking area to increase the number of parking stalls on site, as well as some additional landscaping of trees and shrubs along the property lines. I believe the applicants are actually also here in attendance tonight, so they could help answer questions regarding the concept plans if they're able and here.
Okay. Anybody? Questions?
I move for approval with
I'll second.
with city conditions.
All right, we got a motion and second for approval. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion and possible action on a downtown design review certificate for 511 Second Street, Image 360.
The applicant, on behalf of the business owner, has submitted a request to reface an existing projecting sign. Total square footage of the sign is 5.6 square feet and will extend about 4 feet out of the wall. Sign's not proposed to be lit and is under 6 square feet, so it does not require a sign permit. Staff finds the sign reface to meet all code requirements, and so we're recommending approval of the downtown design review certificate for Kensington at 511 Second Street to reface existing projecting sign.
So moved.
I'll second.
Got a motion. Was there a second?
Yes, Fred Yard.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. All right. I don't have anything for future agendas. Anybody else? No?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.